Well, joining us now is Mike Davis, founder and president of the Article 3 Project and former law clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch. Mike, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. A lot to unpack here, including the Supreme Court. But first, your reaction to former President Donald Trump's latest indictment.
It is clearly political lawfare by Democrats. It started a year ago with the unprecedented, unnecessary, unlawful home raid on President Trump for the non-crime of a former president having his presidential records. We saw Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg indict Trump, the first time a former president has been indicted for the non-crime of settling a nuisance claim. Now they're indicting Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and the First Amendment. They fear they can't beat Trump on November 7th, 2024, so they are running lawfare to try to take him out through the criminal process.
And as expected, the former president pleaded not guilty yesterday, and it is also expected that his lawyers will focus on the First Amendment and free speech as part of his defense. Your thoughts on that strategy? Do you think it will work?
It will absolutely work, ultimately, with the Supreme Court. The problem is that you have this Garland special counsel, Jack Smith, an Obama judge who's a hardcore leftist, and a D.C. Democrat jury pool, 95% against Democrat, 99% against Trump. There's no chance Trump's going to get a fair trial with this D.C. court. There's no chance that Trump's going to get a fair appeal with the D.C. Court of Appeals. That's Obama stacked. This will ultimately have to get resolved by the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court will definitely rule in his favor on First Amendment grounds. But the problem is that they're going to interfere in the 2024 election in the process. So that's why it is so important for people to put President Trump back in the White House and this lawfare ends.
Mike, I want to switch gears here. As Eric reported, there has been some back and forth between Senate Democrats and the Supreme Court regarding a code of ethics. You are a clerk for Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, as we mentioned. What do you think of the Democrats' claims, and how do you see this all playing out? This
is, again, lawfare by Democrats. Democrats controlled the Supreme Court for 90 years before President Trump transformed the 5-4 left of center court to the 5-4 Clarence Thomas court. And now Democrats are running an organized campaign to pretend like there's an ethics problem at the Supreme Court, and there's not. There's an ethics problem at the White House, not at the Supreme Court. Democrats should pay attention to the Biden White House. Imposing an ethics regime on the Supreme Court is unconstitutional. It's also a way for Democrats to club Supreme Court justices to strategically recuse on cases where they don't need to recuse, and also to cow conservative Supreme Court justices on hot-button cases. There's no chance this is going to pass. If it does pass, it's unconstitutional.
Mike, we have about 30 seconds left or so. But curious, what else are you following right now?
Well, I mean, we saw in Illinois there was that district court judge in Illinois who correctly held that Illinois' new law, essentially attacking pro-life Christian crisis pregnancy centers, is unconstitutional. And we need more good judges like that around the country who follow the Constitution and don't get cowed by abortion industry monopolists, Planned Parenthood, and other left-wing radicals.
And we're going to leave it right there. Mike, always great to be with you. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.